Hi guys, my name is Cliff DiBenedetto. This is Gabriel Howearth, the original founder of Seeds of Change, master gardener, seedsman, and botanist for over 40 years. Gabriel has been in isolation for the past 7 years, unable to speak, and we would like to hear from him today.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad to be able to finally talk a little bit, so excuse me if I don't speak perfectly, you don't understand me perfectly, because I had such extensive damage from Spinal Meningitis. I couldn't talk until recently, relatively, and I'm still fine-tuning it. So anyway, in my vast experiences and knowledge around the world and all the people I've learned from, I have a lot to share, obviously. I've done things by hand, I've done things with machinery, I've learned all the ropes, I've learned with elders, and I have to say, it's the things that you can carry with you for generation to generation that'll make a big change. And there are a lot of times there are subtle energy things that make the biggest changes. It's not always the gross things that make change, it's the subtle things a lot of times. So I found with my experiences, my best experiences worldwide with farmers, that I always look at the things that are more common in other cultures too, that they do. And most of them are connected to the stars and the moon, and they're planting, they're harvesting, with that connection with the plants, because one has to think about it. The plants are always connected 24/7. They're always connected to, they can feel the vibration of the planet, they can feel the vibration of the moon, so it's obvious that that was a major point right there. So that into a series, I'll get into the details of explaining details about the astronomy and the connection and the plants and the planets and all that stuff. But I know the elders consider that very important. I would say probably 90% of people did that kind of stuff. And now it's getting scientifically proven in the last 100 years or so. There's a lot of observations been done, lots of new research been done to prove that it's really, and that's been going on for thousands of years, so I'm sure that works good. I use it all the time. And the other thing is their intention, I found. I mean, most elders, most farmers, whatever, guys or ladies, always had a nice little altar space, a little sacred space where they make offerings to whoever they believed in. In some cases, like a little pyramid. In some cases, like the Mayans used the big pyramids. They would put on top. They put seeds to charge their seeds. But it's all these connected intentions, and when you do it and all that stuff. So in other words, they have a little altar space, a little sacred space, and they go out there and make their intentions for the day, the kind of things they're going to be doing, be involved in, and then pray for a good harvest, pray for minimal diseases or no diseases, all these little things. It's what they put in their prayer and their intention. And then, so then they go from there. So those things are become very important. And then of course I'm going to mention something that most people, that's another thing. See, these are subtle energy things, not as easy to prove, but in a quality way you'll see big changes. So the other thing was music. I found music was super important when I traveled the world, because a lot of people, especially in Africa, you see a lot, or in India, people be singing and praying and taking turns playing music for each other. I think music is key. And I learned something, that plants respond a lot to certain types of music and at certain times of the day. It's just like listen to them when the birds go off. It's usually early in the morning and late in the day. So that's when the plants are most receptive. They have what they call the stomata, the underside of the leaves are more open to receive nutrients. So in the old days, there was a major forest, and there was a lot of ozone in the air. So the plants were receiving it all the time. So the birds or insects would make the frequency, and they go off. And it was 8.0 kilohertz cycle they found was when the plants open the most. So the time, if you're going to follow your feed, you do it early morning or in the evening. That's music. But you can play music any time of day, but music is strongest that time of day. And there's certain types of music that I'll get into in the next chapter about music. Because there's certain kinds of music I'll let you think about, the best kinds of music your plants really enjoy. Leave that as next chapter. So then I want to talk about seeds a little bit, since I'm the one, we all been saving seeds for thousands of years, and suddenly in the last 100 years it kind of dropped off the radar. I mean, most of us are responsible for carrying on, passing on bean or corn or squash, whatever, to, you know, to the next generation, next generation, next generation. That was the real jewelry that you passed on. It was the seeds themselves. So let's look at that. It's like we got to get back to the garden, as Johnny Mitchell said. We got to plant ourselves, because 100 years ago, 98% of the culture was involved in growing food in one way or another, and saving seeds. And nowadays it's about 2%. So we made a big change in 100 years. We let GMOs take over because we didn't want to do the work. But really, it's our responsibility. We can tend to a really beautiful small garden. It doesn't have to be a big garden. That we all did a little bit, then that's enough. We don't need to have such big giant farms. So, but seeds become real crucial, because without the seeds, you have no future. I mean, that's the connection. That's the link. Seeds are generation after generation after generation. And seeds acclimate, get stronger, get better. You learn to select the best, healthiest plants, disease-free kind of stuff. Because most of these old heirlooms, they're more resistant. They may not be serious as productive at the beginning, but they'll build and they'll get better. But they'll be the ones that be always most resistant, most disease resistant, most drought resistant. They're tougher plants in general. So I say that we need to save our seeds. That becomes number one, because otherwise we put it in the hands of some other corporations that we don't want it to go there. We want to put it in our hands, or at least if we can't grow all the seeds, we can do it with a group of people. That's the power of having people. You know, it's on our side. So I mentioned about seeds. I'll leave it there. That's a whole chapter unto itself. And then I'll talk a little about soil here, because I think soil is very important, because the secret's always in the soil. It's, if you have good seeds, you have good soil, and the other things come in place and come naturally. But building your soil has become very, very important. I mean, to me, I cannot express more about cover crops and rotation. We got to give our soil a rest once in a while. We got to give it food, just like we give us food. What about the soil itself that feeds us in the end? It's like our bank. We got to put the deposits in there so we can get some withdrawals out. Otherwise, we're just taking withdrawals and there's nothing left. So we have to give and give for a while. So I think the most important thing is we got to learn to give more. We've been taking, now it's time to give more. That's what we've got to weigh ourselves at. So that's soil in a nutshell. I mean, you can talk about soil so much. It's getting that sponge-like effect so that it holds the moisture better. That's key. So it's a balance of carbon and nitrogen and other factors. But yeah, you got to build soil so it can be like a sponge to hold the moisture. Because otherwise it dries up and we're in a drought. So let's make sure we do that.
Okay, cool. Go and stop.
I think that's a good place.
That was good. That was really good.